Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militanje Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pungam Langayate Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Praying for the blessings and empowerment of my teachers, my gurus, Srila Prabhupada and our Parampara, that we may be able to extract some meaning and transformational nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, and begging and praying at the feet of all the devotees here for your blessings and empowerment. Thank you for creating this beautiful assembly by which we can come and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam again and again throughout the Shastras and in Srila Prabhupada's purports and lectures. He stresses the importance of hearing and chanting in the association of devotees, that the realization that we seek is a gift that Krishna bestows upon us when he sees us gathering together as a sangam of devotees. And so every morning we have a very, very special opportunity to come and gather despite geographical barriers, despite so many obstacles in life, our work schedules, our sleep schedules, our mind, so many things that get in the way. But despite all of that, we come together, and that's already a success. This Bhagavatam class is already successful. Just the fact that we've shown up and we are giving oral reception to the sacred sound vibration of Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you all for doing that. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve with all of you, and I'm very grateful. We are reading from the... thank you, Bhakti Hugo, for that heart emoji. Very much felt. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Can somebody please put the verse up? The verse...
Okay, give me a minute, Prabhu.
Yeah, just the verse. What verse, what chapter and verse that we are on?
10, 15, 44 through 46. Oh, I'm sorry, Prabhu. Sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's 24th. Okay, it's 10, 16, 16.
Okay, so we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 16.
16, yeah, verse 16.
Krishna chastises the serpent Kaliya. Okay.
And we can see your screen, that's great.
Great. 10, 16, 16. Okay, one verse. Technology. Okay. And there's a little bit of a purport here. Okay, great. Tangstata kataran viksha bhagavan madhavo bala prahasya kinchino vacha prabhavagyo nujasya saha. Translation: the Supreme Lord Balaram, the master of all transcendental knowledge, smiled and said nothing when he saw the residents of Vrindavan in such distress, since he understood the extraordinary power of his younger brother. Wow, what a beautiful verse, right? It's kind of amazing, actually. So the pastime here, as it's unfolding, we know and we're reading that Krishna is in the grip of the Kaliya serpent. Krishna is in the grip of the Kaliya serpent. And the residents of Vrindavan are just so much obsessed, so much imbued with so much love for that transcendental little cowherd boy that their whole life feels in danger, and they're riddled with anxiety and fear that Krishna is in the grip of this massive serpent. And so again and again, we've been discussing the beauty of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is that you get this beautiful glimpse of Vrindavan. You get this beautiful glimpse of Vrindavan and the specialty of Vrindavan and what it means for the level of love that's exchanged in this sacred place. I was just reading earlier today, it's quite beautiful. I'll pull up from the Upadeshamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami. Let me pull this verse up. It's in one of the later verses of the Upadeshamrita. The Upadeshamrita by Rupa Goswami is such a beautiful verse that covers so much of just the entire gamut of spiritual life, from the beginning of how to control your urges, how to not let your stomach, not let your lower chakras, not let your mind, not let your reactive tendencies control your life, to understanding the things that are favorable and unfavorable to our devotional bhavan. And so he shares in this verse, this is text 8, Tannama rupa charitati sukirtanano smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyoja tishtam vrajetar anuragi jananugami kalam nayat akilam ityupadesharam. Srila Rupa Goswami writes, the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, so he's describing this full absorption in spiritual life, that so much of the path of bhakti is about learning how to intentionally absorb our mind. Our minds are constantly absorbed somewhere. It's the nature of the mind to be absorbed, to attach onto something, to just dive into something. We talk about the idea of people having short attention spans, but yet we can watch a movie for 3 hours, or we can play. Kids have. It's not that we have short attention spans. It's just that our minds are more easily absorbed in certain things than others, because the nature of the mind is to be absorbed. And we've lost the ability, we've forfeited our ability, we've given away our power to intentionally choose where we absorb our mind and our consciousness. And it's been stolen by technology. It's been stolen by gossip and drama. It's been stolen by politics and news feeds. It's been stolen by the entertainment industry. Our own power to choose where we absorb our mind. And bhakti is the reclaiming of that God-given power. And it takes a long time, because we're very practiced in, we're very weak in that practice of choosing where to absorb our consciousness. And so that's why the Upadeshamrita begins with the foundational practices of self-control, self-mastery, discipline. Prabhupada uses the word Goswami, a master of the senses, a master of self. It's why the yoga tradition in the Ashtanga yoga system begins with the yamas and the niyamas. Before it goes on to samadhi or these advanced meditative stages, it's this idea of learning how to live a controlled life. Srila Prabhupada would talk about coming to the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness being a very conducive platform to launch into full-fledged spiritual life. And so a lot of our spiritual practices is just kind of a rehabilitation process of reclaiming our God-given power of choosing where to absorb my consciousness. So in this verse, it's saying the essence of all advice is that we should give our full absorption 24 hours a day into nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastime. therefore gradually engaging one's tongue and one's mind. The tongue both in our speech as well as what we consume and what we put out, our input and our output. The mouth and the tongue is a very interesting sense because it's a control center for both input and output, right? What we consume and taste and eat and ingest, and what we put out into the world through our words, through our speech, the vibrations that we create. And so Rupa Goswami is mentioning, in this way, one should reside in Braja, Goloka Dham, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and serve under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees, who are deeply attached. So much of the Rupa Goswami in his other book, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada translated and commented on, talks about the 5 potent limbs of devotional service: the Nam, the Dham, the Bhagavatam, Didi, and devotee. So the holy name, the holy places, Vrindavan specifically, Srimad Bhagavatam, the deity form of the Lord in the temple, and the devotees. In many ways, all of those things you can create wherever you are in the world. You can install a deity in your home. You can read Srimad Bhagavatam in your home. You can chant the holy name wherever you go. You can associate with devotees, even virtually in today's world of communication. But to live in the holy Dham, that's a tricky one. How many of us even have the time and availability? I'm fortunate that I'm here from the Govardhan Eco Village right now with a group of people that are going to be making their way to Vrindavan soon. Some people, once in a lifetime, they may go and visit the holy Dham. What to speak of going and living there? But in this verse, Rupa Goswami is also explaining that Vrindavan is a state of consciousness. It's the absorption. When we fully absorb our mind, then that is Vrindavan. Fully absorb our mind in the service of Krishna, we create that mood of Vrindavan. In this way, he says, in this way, one should reside in Braja, Goloka Vrindavan Dham. So Vrindavan is that place where the full expression of absorption in Krishna is completely apparent. And so sometimes in devotional circles, there can be almost, it seems like this, especially people were wondering, like, why such obsession with Krishna? And there are so many different forms of the Lord and of divinity. And it's not just a favoritism, but it's an understanding that Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti, as Rupa Goswami describes. That if love is the highest reality, and the highest expression of the soul is to exchange in divine love, that if I accept the idea that I am a spirit soul, and I accept the idea that the spirit soul, it functions off of love, that there's nothing in this material world that can satisfy that love. That love is the food for the soul. It's what the soul is made for and yearns for. And God is that ultimate, supreme source of love and reservoir of love and holder of love. That love requires a loved and beloved, that God is the supreme lover and the supreme beloved. Then Krishna is that form of God who can most fully exchange and express and receive and hold our love. That is Krishna. Akila Rasa Murta Murti. The Samam Bonam Srimad Bhagavatam describes as the absolute truth. So this is Vrindavan as described by the Acharyas. And it's in this Vrindavan that the residents of Vrindavan, in this holy place, that the residents of Vrindavan are just completely absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Nothing else. Vrindavan without Krishna, there is no Vrindavan without Krishna. And the residents of Vrindavan are thinking that if Krishna leaves, our life has no meaning. So when they see baby Krishna, when they see their sweet, young, charming, adorable mischievous, captivating Yashodanandana, the darling of the cowherd boys and cowherd girls, just completely entrenched in the coils of the Kaliya serpent, they are completely in distress. And they're worried, and they're crying, and they're freaking out. Balaram, the master of all transcendental knowledge, he's observing this, and it says that he smiles and says nothing, because he understands the extraordinary power of his younger brother. So, Balaram also represents Sri Guru. Balaram is the original Guru. He's the first expansion of Krishna. And it says that Guru is an expansion of Sri Balaram. And Balaram understands, Guru understands Tattva. Krishna also explains this in Bhagavad Gita. Anybody know the verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna describes Guru and the relationship with Guru? Chapter 4, verse 34. Krishna says in chapter 4, verse 34, he uses this word tattva. Tadviri prananipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina, the seer of truth, the knower of tattva. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from that spiritual master submissively, and render service unto that spiritual master. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you. They can give you jnana, they can give you tattva, they can give you realization, because they have seen the truth. Tattva darshina, they're the seers of tattva. Tattva means truth. They understand things as they are. We get confused, we get distressed, we don't understand what's actually happening. The residents of Vrindavan, they're covered by Yogamaya. Because if they knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then there would be no rasa. There'd be no exchange of love. There'd be no heightened anxiety which increases the quality of the pastime. So they get covered by a Yogamaya. We, on the other hand, are covered by Mahamaya. Yogamaya heightens our relationship and connection to Krishna and love. Mahamaya separates us from Krishna and blocks us through illusion. So a guru is the one, we're an illusion, not understanding who we are and who Krishna is. But guru understands that tattva, and he sees. So Balaram is the original representative of guru, and guru understands tattva. Guru understands reality. We don't understand the nature of reality. We don't always understand why things are happening the way they're happening. We don't understand how Krishna ultimately is guiding everything. We don't understand that Krishna's hand is behind everything. One time Srila Prabhupada was giving a class and he said, you think you're sitting on the floor, but I'm sitting on the hand of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada exemplifies in his life so often this intense, unshakable, deep faith that Krishna is ultimately guiding everything. And that's the deepest faith we can have as a devotee. I don't always have the answers for everything. I don't know why things are happening this way. I may choose to do it differently. But I trust that Krishna is guiding everything. I trust that Krishna hasn't forgotten me and that ultimately Krishna's higher plan will reveal itself, will make sense down the line. So in this verse here, Balaram is representing Guru, who even when we're experiencing our distress in life, can see on the other side of it. We're just looking at a small slice just 10 feet ahead. Guru is looking 100 feet, 100 miles ahead. And so we need gurus in our life, we need Shastra in our life to constantly zoom out and gain perspective. Arjuna needed that perspective. He was caught in the minutiae, he needed to zoom out and gain that perspective. So the Supreme Lord Balaram, the mystic of all transcendental knowledge, smiled and said nothing when he saw the residents of Vrindavan in such distress, since he understood the extraordinary power of his younger brother. And similarly us, like the residents of Vrindavan are covered by Yogamaya, we're also covered by Mahamaya, and we don't understand how things are working. But Guru knows and Guru understands. And if we can align ourselves with teachings of truth, we can align ourselves with Srila Prabhupada through his books, through our sadhana, then we can be illuminated to not get caught and stay in that distress, but be guided through it. Okay, let's read the purport. Purport. Sri Balaram is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna and is thus non-different from him. They are, in fact, the same absolute truth, manifest in separate forms. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Balaram was laughing because he thought, Krishna never cares to play with me in my form of Sheshanaga, but now he's playing with this ordinary, mundane snake named Kaliya. That's a really sweet thought, right? Lord Balaram thought that he never used to play with me as Sheshanaga, but now he's playing with this ordinary, mundane snake named Kaliya. That's kind of sweet. The question may arise as to why Krishna and Balaram allowed their loving devotees to suffer such great anguish during Krishna's temporary imprisonment within the coils of Kaliya. It must be remembered that because the inhabitants of Vrindavan were completely liberated souls, they did not experience material emotions. So they experienced great emotions, but not spiritual. But they were spiritual emotions, not material emotions. When they saw their beloved Krishna in apparent danger, their love for him intensified to the highest degree, and thus they merged completely into the ecstasy of love for him. The whole situation has to be seen from the spiritual point of view, or it will not be seen at all. Hare Krishna. Real quick, I just want to address Andrea's question in the chat. Question regarding Maya. Is Mayapur named after Yoga Maya then, not Mahamaya? Yes, that is my understanding. Mayapur is, my understanding, is named after Yoga Maya, the place of Maya, the place of Yoga Maya, Krishna's spiritual covering energy. Okay. So the first paragraph of the purport is just this sort of sweet referencing of the fact that Balaram was lamenting that, hey, I was in the form of a snake, you never really played with me like that, but now you're playing in the form of this snake, because Sheshanaga is over the form of Vishnu. So you have to come to Vrindavan if you want Krishna to dance on your head. The second paragraph is related to the idea of Krishna acting in such a way to bring us closer to him, to heighten our love for him. So in Vrindavan, the distress caused to the residents of Vrindavan increases their love and attachment and affection towards Krishna. It increases their love and attachment and affection towards Krishna. It provides opportunity for us to take deeper shelter. We can also take that opportunity in the material world. We can take that opportunity again in the material world. Queen Kunti exemplifies this in her prayers, that if the goal of life is to take deeper shelter of Krishna and to experience Krishna's love, then whatever it takes for me to get there, bring it on. May whatever is needed for me to come closer to you, my dear Krishna, to deepen my ability to take shelter. And if we create a deep ability to take shelter of Krishna, then nothing will ever disturb or shake us. And if something's disturbing and shaking us, then it means it's an opportunity for us to take deeper shelter of Krishna, to sink deeper into his arms, and to remind ourselves that, Krishna, this is not my home. And it's a really hard pill to swallow, because I get comfortable here sometimes, and I feel like I don't know anything else. But I'm being reminded that this isn't my home. And being reminded that the things, the security blankets that I've carried around for so long aren't the shelter that I'm looking for. And so there's only one shelter. There's only one shelter that actually can hold my heart. And I want to give it to you, Krishna. And I forgot again. And I forget. And I forget. Or I kind of half give. And Krishna's just constantly like, I want your full heart. I want your full heart. And so we're creating circumstances where we just continuously take deeper shelter. And a devotee has this maturity. A devotee, as life can be very hard, life can be very stressful, life can be very confusing, doesn't mean that we don't experience pain and struggle and confusion, that everything's hunky-dory and rainbows and smiling and externally beautiful all the time. But it means that when the challenges of life come and I'm working my way through it, there's a voice that I keep alive in the back of my head. There's a record playing that I've set in place on a timer to make sure it's always there, that Krishna is calling me closer to him. Krishna is calling me closer to him. Krishna wants me to take deeper shelter. Krishna wants me to place my trust in him. Krishna wants to somehow heighten and increase and develop my love for him. And so the devotee has that outlook. And it doesn't mean that the pain goes away. It doesn't mean that things all of a sudden get easier. But it means that we have the opportunity to grow through the difficult things that happen to us in our life. And we can take that opportunity. And we don't allow ourselves to become bitter. We don't even allow ourselves to become regretful. But we allow ourselves to turn our bitterness and regrets into genuine gratitude. That I may not have chosen that for somebody else, I may not choose to go through it again, but it ultimately brought me closer. It also taught me something about myself and the nature of the world. And, I can choose bitterness, I can choose blame, I can choose regret, or I can surrender all of that to Krishna and allow him to just, bring me closer. Where can I truly go for shelter? So the residents of Vrindavan exemplify that to the infinite degree. There's a constant tragedy going on. There's a constant upheaval taking place. And they show us the example. Krishna sends all these demons into Gokula in order to bring his devotees closer. And so also we can see difficult circumstances in our life as messenger. It doesn't mean that we need to go out looking for difficult circumstances. Doesn't mean we need to inflict unnecessary pain and trouble and make things unnecessarily difficult. But it means that Krishna will send obstacles into our life. And when beautiful things come into our life, we should see it as a gift of Krishna. And when challenging moments come into our life, we should see them as a gift from Krishna. And so, because sometimes things are really beautiful in Vrindavan. They're beautiful, amorous pastimes. And it's all a gift for Krishna and a celebration of love. And sometimes there's really challenging moments and it seems like things are going wrong. Those are also a gift from Krishna. So a devotee sees everything as Krishna reaching out to them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we may not be there, but we yearn to be there. We yearn to be there. And by Guru's grace and the grace of the devotees and the devotee association, we can get there. We just have to remind each other. Because sometimes I'm really down in the dumps, and I need someone to pick me up. I need someone to remind me, hey, you're doing okay. Hey, Krishna's got you. I'm here for you. And sometimes you may be down in the dumps, and I may be feeling a little bit of Krishna's mercy in a way that may not be as evident to you. And I'll try to share that with you. We're not here to shame each other or guilt each other. It's like, come on, cheer up, be better, and invalidate people's difficult experiences. But we're just here to remind each other, We're Krishna's representatives. Each of us are Krishna's representatives in each other's lives. Krishna's placed us with each other in this community to be here for each other, to remind each other that Krishna's looking out for us, even when things seem really rough. And so, Krishna has placed us in each other's lives. Krishna has placed each of us in each other's care. We have to do it for each other. We have to do this for each other. We have to show each other that a loving community of devotees is possible. We can create this mood of Vrindavan anywhere. We can create it in New York City. We can create it in New Jersey. We can create it wherever you're tuning in from. And so, but we have to trust that Krishna is going to catch us, that Krishna is guiding us. And we have to really take our spiritual lives very seriously. We have to take our own personal time to connect with Krishna when we can. Whether it's in our sadhana, our seva, our japa, our study. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm a perfect example. I know that it's hard. Some days are better than others. But we keep trying. We keep trying to meet Krishna every day in our spiritual practice, knowing that He's constantly ever forgiving, ever encouraging, ever waiting for us. And when we meet Krishna in our lives and we go and we connect with each other, we can share what Krishna's been giving us. So I pray that each of us feel inspired to nurture and care for each other, to be Guru's representative, to be Krishna's representative in each other's lives. That when we go through the difficult struggles that Krishna sends into our life for our growth, that we can be supports and reminders to each other. And we can build a beautiful community of devotees that love and care for each other and provide a light in the world, because the world needs it. My God, the world needs it. The world needs an example of people that genuinely love and care about each other. The world needs an example of people that have integrated God into their life in a healthy way and have a healthy, evolved understanding of spirituality. I'm here at the Govardhan Eco Village, and it's such a well-known place for many things, including its ecological contribution to the world, and it has international recognitions and awards for ecology and water conservation and bioorganic farming, etc. And my wife, Rasika Gopi, she did a thesis project on the Govardhan Eco Village when she was studying environmental science for a master's degree. And her whole conclusion and thrust of the paper was that sustainability, environmental sustainability, is simply a byproduct of spiritual community, of spiritual consciousness. Because when there's a natural recognition of the sacredness of the earth, of nature, of God, of God's energy, and of each other, then there's a natural caring for things as God's property. So all of the issues that we're facing, ecological issues, social issues, political, economic issues, at the root are a spiritual problem. Pollution of the heart. And so the world needs spiritual values, and the world needs people that are dedicating their lives to the living out of those values, and to show what it means for human beings to interact with each other in an evolved way. So the Bhakti Center is not just a place to, you know, teach people cool classes and workshops. That's part of it. There's education, and there's, a lot of progressive outreach, etc. But at the heart of it is a nourished, inspired, and engaged community. There's meant to be a nourished, inspired, and engaged community. That's like a light on a hill that people look at and be like, what do they got going on over there? And people feel it. When you come to a kirtan, people don't know what it is, but it's just, what is this place? Seeing people be nice to each other and overcome differences for a higher principle, and take themselves out of the center and serve so selflessly. When Bruce is there washing pots on Thursday night kirtan and just eager for service, it's rare. It's something that people observe, and they're like, how can I serve? When Gokuleshwari, who's signed up to do Didi Seva on Tuesdays and come and spend the entire day at the Bhakti Center doing garlands, it's a contribution to a community spirit that's very vibrant and beautiful. And all of us, all of you here showing up for Bhagavatam class and doing your various services are very powerful and very beautiful. So that's our mission, and that's our goal, is to create this mood of Vrindavan under the guidance and protection of Shri Guru, the representative of Balaram, who understands the tattva of the material and spiritual world, and who can see further ahead than we can, and is smiling, knowing that everything's going to be okay if we just continue to place our love and our faith in Krishna. Okie dokie pokies, Hare Krishna. So there's a lot of beautiful comments here. Bhakti Center's taking notes. Andrea shared this beautiful verse from the Bible, Matthew 5:14. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Yes, I was thinking of that verse, actually. I didn't know it was Matthew 5:14, but I was thinking of that verse from the Bible. It's very beautiful. Jeffrey Acker, the goal to be observant servants. Thank you, very beautiful. Okay, we have a few minutes left. If there's any questions or comments or reflections from the group. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dayal Gauranga Prabhu. Great class. Yeah, Dayal Gauranga Prabhu ki jai. Yeah, video finally coming on. Okay, Temple Room. Do you have questions or contributions? Okay, Jeffrey Eckler Prabhu. What's your takeaway?
Well, I love the idea that we can actively change our perception and see the world through a spiritual lens. And then in that process of kind of switching our vision, we're inspired to serve each other. It just all seems so organic the way that Dayal has beautifully described it today. It really is a nice thought that we can organically grow in spirituality together.
Yeah, see,
Thank
Dayal
you.
Gauranga's organic class is a byproduct of his sincerity and good sadhana.
Hare Krishna. Andrea has a hand up.
Hare Krishna, Dayal Gauranga Prabhu, humble obeisance. I have a share and a question because of it. So yesterday I had a unique experience that I feel falls under what you were talking about in terms of taking shelter of the Lord in difficult circumstances. I was at the post office and I had to send a package internationally, which I've never done before, and it was taking a long time. And I had a gentleman behind me who was not pleased about that. And when I tried to like connect with him with a smile and just kind of say sorry, his reaction was like, "That's not going to help," and "I hate all humanity," and just to really kind of throw a lot of negativity my way. And my initial reaction was to be like, "Okay," and then I turned around, and then I was like, well, even if I seem like a crazy person, I just started singing the Maha Mantra under my breath a little bit while I was there because I could feel him like staring at the back of my head, and that helped me personally. But I'm just wondering, when we're in circumstances like that, is there anything else that we can do? Like, should I have done anything else other than just kind of taken shelter of the Lord through the holy names for my own sanity? So Haribo.
Sometimes that is all you can do. Sometimes it's all you can do. Sometimes you don't need to do anything more. You know, sometimes I think we get ourselves worked up thinking that we need to do more than we're supposed to, and that. But there are certain things that are just above our pay grade. You know, and so that beautiful. I love the phrase. You know, to let go and let God. To actually to let go and actually let Krishna take his place. That I'm not meant to play the role of God here, to set somebody else right, you know. We do what we can, but at the end of the day, sometimes all we can do is our own internal adjustment to a situation. Yeah.
Just tell him life is tough and then you die. Gail.
Gail.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. You know, Andrea's story just made me wonder if, well, for one thing, I feel like just by her remembering Krishna in that circumstance, she brought Krishna into that post office, you know? And so I'm thinking that by doing so, didn't she not only help purify herself, but everybody there, including Mr. Negative? And I'm wondering, you know, if by inspiring her to meditate on Krishna, if that would have counted as some kind of agyata sukriti on his part, you know, because even though it was unintentional, he helped her in that way.
That's a very beautiful
I don't
meditation.
know.
Yes, his spiritual has begun.
Before the conch stops blowing, do you see, Dayal Prabhu, that my Govardhan Echo Village Gauranga is my icon? Do you see? Did you recognize him?
Oh, that's Gauranga Mahaprabhu here.
Yes.
I've always wondered who that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so beautiful. Thank you for revealing that great devotional secret.
Yeah, that's my Gauranga.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, it looks
Krishna.
like we're going to have some darshan is coming. Yes. Turn your cameras on.
Radhamodar ki jai.
Jai. Sorry about that. I was saying about the shaky darshan that Adipurusha Prabhu facilitated. And I've chastised him many times for that. I'll get on his case. William Prabhu, nice seeing you. Thank you. You wearing a hat in the house? You keeping you warm? Yes. Andrea, thank you for that story. Yeah. When I go out, and when I find myself in a place like that, full of miserable people who are like stranded, waiting, tired, I just somehow or other I feel compassionate. Poor Krishna's children, they're just lost. And then there's a nice one-liner from Adi that they just need to know if you love them. Just turn around, show some love. They'll feel it. They'll feel it. They may say it's not enough. Just give them a little more. Just give him just a little bit more. He just wants to make sure that you're for real. He's just testing you. Bhima Prabhu, you look so cozy, bundled up. Hare Krishna.
Andrea still there?
Dayal Gauranga left, but we're still here.
What about Andrea?
Andrea, yes.
You give him a right hook of love. A right hook of love to the jaw. As long as there's love behind it. It's all about intention. It's not the gift, it's the thought behind the gift. No, actually, one of the things that's always helped me out when people are angry at me, which is the primary emotion that I find myself faced with, being married to a Sicilian, is to understand that when someone's angry, they're actually only. This is something that I remember, which helps me, which is they're punishing themselves. They're only punishing themselves, right? So you can take a little bit of satisfaction in that, like, why would you do that to yourself? And then you can release yourself from that. You can sort of like in fighting, you slip. Someone throws a punch at you, and you just only have to step to the side just a little bit, literally a couple of inches, and that strike just goes right by you, and that person has wasted that energy. So that's what anger is. It's actually an emotional attack. And you just step to the side and you'd say, why did you do that? And then you give them a right hook of love on the way in as a counterpunch. But anyways, that's how I deal with it, having been someone who deals with that on a regular basis. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, thank you. I actually appreciate Gail's addition to it of thinking that this man who, before I was thinking of him like, oh, what a not nice person, he's kind of horrible. But now thinking of it as like, this is a guy that at the post office of all places made me think of Krishna and made me scared enough to want to take shelter of Krishna and not even care if I seemed like a crazy person and start singing the Maha Mantra, so that I'm pretty sure that at least the postal office guy and the guy behind me could hear it. So thank you, random angry guy at the post office. I appreciate it. So thank you, Gail.
Yeah, I mean, that's my philosophy, that Krishna gives us everything. We're supposed to make lemonade out of all of our lemons. And I think that's what you did. You did it for yourself, but you did it for, everybody in earshot. And even if they couldn't hear, just thinking about Krishna, it invokes his presence, and that affects the environment. It's not material, so they don't even have to hear it. Just, by his being present, everybody is affected, whether they realize it or not.
And isn't Durga, the goddess Durga, isn't she a personification of Mahamaya? Does anybody know? Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Because he was wearing a shirt that had Durga on it. So maybe it was like Maya just trying to poke me
It
so that I
wasn't,
would think about
looks
Krishna.
like it wasn't a random angry guy. He was just like
No.
maybe like a demon or something.
He
That's
had,
what Paul said, but
he had on his shirt. That's amazing.
he had a Durga
That
shirt
doesn't
on.
tell you
Yeah.
what was going on.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
isn't
there's
this
some
his
kind of
name
Leela
is Kalia? Kalia spitting poison. Same thing. Krishna dances on his head. You danced your tongue. Krishna danced on your tongue. His name. It's all a dance. You just got to keep the rhythm going. Cha cha cha.
Didn't realize that I was just having a pastime that was a continuation of the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Now I know. Thank you so much, everyone. This is why I love this family.
Adi and Angel, what do you have to say? How do you deal with angry people? Hold it, Angel, you have to unmute. Unmute.
I mean, I just try to tell myself they're probably, it's not personal with me. They're just upset about life. And New York is just full of angry people who are, their impatience is just a product of their anger. So most of the time I do what she did. Just I'll try to be happy myself and not get into it. I don't know what else I really can do, but.
Hare Krishna.
You guys just sleeping?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, just terrible sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night.
Hare Krishna.
Adi Pushababu, you wanted to share something?
I'm trying. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what you and I always do is when there's a situation that Krishna gives us, we say, Lord, I don't know what to do, but I'll do whatever you want. Right? Just like the demigods went to the shore of the Milk Ocean, they were overwhelmed by the unnecessary defense forces of demoniac king. So they turned to Krishna and they say, Lord, we have a situation here that we don't know what to do about, but we'll do whatever you want. And that, we should be compassionate. We should understand that they're suffering. All those things are all true. But then do we turn to Krishna and say, Krishna, show me what to do? And he does. We've seen it so many times.
So cool.
Hundreds and hundreds of situations resolved that seemed perplexing and impossible and, horrific. And we're grateful for whatever helps us to turn to Krishna. And we want to be loving to them. What to say? Right? Anyway, maybe that's helpful.
I went to class.
Thank you. Adi Pushababu. Tell Keshwara Prabhu that we love him. Right? Is that a Keshwara Prabhu in the back?
Yeah. He just jumped on the elevator.
Okay. All right. So let's wrap it up, dear devotees. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful addition to class, I feel. Thanks, Andrea, for starting this. Yeah. It's very tricky to remember Krishna in the heat of the moment, but Krishna will give us an opportunity to practice this. So, yeah, thank you very much. We love you dearly. Hare Krishna. Come again tomorrow. This is. It doesn't get any better than this. To glorifying Krishna together in the association with devotees and sharing things we're going through together with Krishna. Hare Krishna.